Hello everybody, I'm Madeline and
I'm Vernon.
And we are Papillon Press. We are live streaming today as part of the Made Market Virtual Pop-Up. So it's something that they've been doing every couple weeks to kind of try to, show people what other people are doing in cool ways and as a way to allow creative people to show their stuff without having to do like shows because they've all been canceled. So yeah, I'm going to give you a little tour of the shop, and hopefully there was some issues with embedding the link earlier, but hopefully it should be working out soon. Here, I'm going to hand it over to Vernon.
Okay.
Oh yeah, just
tour of the shop. Yeah, okay, so here's a little selection of our... So these are some of the notebooks that we make here in the shop. They're all hand printed or letterpress printed covers with designs that we've either created or resurrected from historical patterns. So I'll give you a quick circle tour here. This is also a bookbindery, and there are some of the bookbinding tools, an old press, type drawers that I've converted into paper storage, the back 40, our photo booth right there where we have some of our new products that we're selling, our German fountain pens and stationery. Here's the bench where lots of things happen. Create an old stamping press that we use for gold lettering and such. And here's our Chandler and Price letterpress over here that we print most of our notebook covers on. Then over here we'll be exhibiting today our Potter proof press, which is a 1910 printing press that it's a manual press that was intended to proof your type and your whole layout to see if there were any errors that needed correcting, because it was easy to do that while all your type was on the bed, and then once it was ready you could bring it to your production press and go for it. But these are often now used for printing posters and paper sheets like we're doing today. So I think I'll give this back to Madeline, and she can man that while I get this set up to print. So, like I said, this is a 1910 printing press, and this is a carved block that we carved here in the shop, and based on a circa 1845 decorated block printed sheet from Japan. So we've redesigned it some and filled in where, because it was a small sample that we had, so we kind of had to extrapolate the design into a bigger pattern, and then we carved it. It's a cherry block. Now you notice it's a little bit warpy, so I have a softer pad on here so that the paper can give a little bit over the cherry block. So we're going to do some test printing first just to see if we can make sure all the ink is even. So here we go. We'll start with our ink, which we have mixed up previously, a nice green. Let's see if we can get the light.
There we go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so that's Panko ink, made in Chicago, USA. And we'll get some right on here, and it looks like we got some little flecks that we got to get rid of. So we'll do that in a minute.
Those usually happen when the ink dries a little bit in the can, so it's just little bits of dried ink left over, but usually pretty easy to remove if you catch them right away.
Okay. Then this ink can take like a week to dry, so we usually add a little bit of a dryer to it
our two-way dryer. As you can see, we've used it a lot with inky hands.
So this will allow the ink to dry in about a day rather than. Alright. I guess this calf is dried on pretty good. So I usually just dip the knife right in there and it lifts a little bit of ink dryer without leaving any ink in there. Mix that in, okay. Get rid of that.
Got it.
Okay. Then we'll take our roller here and just roll it out a bit.
So we look for a nice, thin, consistent texture. I don't know if you can quite see it in the video here, but it's very thinly on there, but you can see that there's all the same it'll kind of blend together a little bit after it sits, but those little pebbly textures are what we're looking for.
Yeah, if there's too many peaks, then the ink is too heavy. And then the first rolling is always the one that takes the most ink because the block is dry. And you can see where I'm going over some of the spots it's a little lighter. So this block isn't completely even, which by the old method of printing, where a sheet would have been laid over top and rubbed with kind of a baron, it wouldn't be a problem. But when you have these really flat presses, it's harder to make sure the low points get printed. So we have to do what's called make ready, where we take a little bit of paper and build up the printing base. I've done a little of that already, so this might be ready to go, but if not, I'll show you how that works. So, that's pretty well inked, and just going to get a little paper over here. Utility paper to test that out. Okay, so this press, like I said, is all manual. So what we'll do here is place this paper under these little tabs and then lift this lever over on the other side, and it lifts those clips, and then that clamps in the paper. Now I'm just going to make sure that everything lines up well. That looks good. That looks good. Alright, so now we'll run this. Get all this extra stuff out of here. Let's take our first print here. Let's see how it looks. Now you'll see that the block moves a little bit. I have it in here not too super tight because the block is a little bit warped. it needs to be able to move around a little bit. So we don't have it clamped in, just enough to keep it from sliding around when we start the print. So here we go. We'll start this first print. You're kind of there. Okay, there we go. All right, not a bad first print. It gets released immediately when the roller is turned all the way. Now you can see there's a light spot here, and a light spot here, and a light spot here. So what we'll do is put this paper back on, and we'll do a little make ready. Actually, first we're going to pull this back. And there's a foot lever here which holds the roll up so you don't print your base here. So now we're going to put this back on, and we'll lift the whole thing here, and then I'm going to take a little marking pencil and mark where I want to put the make ready, and that one just probably needs one level here. This one could probably use two, so make a couple circles there. This one could use maybe just one. And was there more? Oh yeah, this one here, which...
And potentially right here too.
Oh yeah,
corner.
that one there too. So right there. And right here. So I'll use a little scrap paper. And a little tape, and we'll just tape some pieces of paper right onto the, right underneath the roller here. Maybe like that. Maybe like this. Okay, so I'm just going to tape that right there. And I tear the edges because then there are less hard edges that might show up in the print. Okay, and then we needed maybe one level here. Looks like I already had some there, but needs a little more. Okay, and then one right there, an oblong one. And then a couple right here maybe. It's somewhat imprecise here, which is part of the charm. Oops, I take that one right on top. Let's try that again.
I didn't even notice.
No. That one goes right here.
So for anyone who just joined, we've got a couple light spots in this print that we're making due to just kind of inconsistencies in the wood block. So we were just adding some paper behind to kind of raise those spots.
It's called Make Ready.
Called Make Ready, yeah. And then you see the light spots, like right there is one of them. And hopefully that'll make it so that the impression in that part is a little bit deeper and we'll get a more consistent print.
Okay, so that's print number 1, which isn't bad for a first print. Now we'll put this right under these tabs here, and then we lift the clampers and they clamp down. And because the wood is somewhat inconsistent, we use a soft rubber brayer to more easily apply ink to the low spots. I think that's good.
Did you get that little tab over on the number?
Yeah, I had to put a little wood filler in there. Okay, let's try print number 2 here. You ready? Let's go. There it is.
All right, yeah. Well, at least down here it looks like those spots are filled in more than they were the first time, so.
Yep, that one's good.
Yep.
That one's
Mostly just looks like there's just a little bit of light ink.
Yeah, maybe here too.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this isn't the paper we're going to be printing on, but it looks pretty good.
It's pretty good.
So let's try one. Yeah.
On the nice paper,
Hold
yeah.
it up here.
Yeah. Not too bad for a test print.
Alright. I do think this could use a little more here.
A little more up there, yeah.
Yeah. Now let me... Oh, I've got to bring this back. Again, foot pedal. Bring it back.
Otherwise we get a nice green print right on the leather.
The vinyl.
Yes.
Wouldn't want people thinking we're mistaking leather for vinyl. Let's see. A little scrap paper. Just put in our little pencil. Alright. Setup is always crucial. Looks like we're just going to need one layer, like right here. So I'll just take a corner here and
You want to put it under there, though?
I do, don't I? Thanks. One. Okay, so we're gonna put that right there. There's one.
Yeah, it looks Looks like it's making a good impression.
Use a little bit right under these flowers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get all this make ready in there, of course, then you can just go. But if there's a light spot here that remains, that's the part I'd look at every time I'd look at one of these prints. So we're going to take care of that. Put a little bit right here too.
Another one. Yeah.
Maybe we should have just put a whole sheet on. One more layer. No, it's just that there's some spots that are quite heavily printed, so we can't really. Okay, I think we're gonna go for it here.
All right.
Put this away.
So this is the paper that we're actually going to use. I believe this is the Reeves.
Yes.
Reeves Lightweight. Makes a really, really nice, clean print. And the ink colors look good on it, so that helps too. So if you go to our online shop, the papers of this pattern that are available are all on this Reeves Lightweight paper. And I don't know if you can see the link, but I'll show it up right there. We've also got notebooks with this pattern too.
The sheet is a little bit narrower, so I'm trying to find the exact spot so that the design is centered. That looks pretty good, so I'm just going to remember halfway through this little guide clip here is where I'll put the paper. Now, ink it up. This is a pretty ink-hungry plate because the design is kind of made by carving away these lines, so most of the wood is still there. So it takes quite a bit of ink. Okay. Are we ready? Let's go.
All right. There we go. And there we have a print.
And there we have our first print.
Yeah.
Looks pretty good. There are a couple lightish spots. I don't think that's a real problem.
Oh, yeah.
It might be an inking issue. I'm just going to note where they are. There's one here.
Yeah, some of them you can fix with just more ink. Some of them you have to put the make ready on.
Yeah, so it looks like it's not centered, so I'm going to adjust that. Oh, yeah, a little crooked, but that's okay.
Not too bad.
Okay. Bring the block back. walk up another sheet. This time, I think I'll move it this way just a little bit. Maddie. Okay, we ready? You might, yeah, I mean, you come around back, I mean, when it, so the print is coming out. Ha!
Nice.
Yes, it's mostly an inking issue, so.
That looks pretty good.
And that one's a little more centered. That looks good. You can see the impression a little bit on the back side.
Yeah.
So we have that soft, it's soft paper, 100% cotton, and then the soft surface to print.
You can even see some of the little squares
indentations there.
in the.
So that gives it some texture, some depth. The old letterpress printers didn't want to see any kind of impression on the back side of the sheet because that showed, well, it showed through on the other side of a book, say, and that wouldn't look good. So they tried to really just kiss the surface of the paper with the letterpress, but today for some of these prints we like to see that impression.
So these are the test prints, if you weren't watching at that point of the video. And then these are still kind of test prints, but on the actual paper that we're using. So all those light parts on the block that are the more wood color, those are spots that are freshly carved, because the first time you carve a wood block, well, I carved this one and it was my first wood block, so there were a bunch of things that needed some adjusting. So then Vernon, as a more experienced wood block carver, went through and kind of fixed a bunch of those up for me. And those have not been, we haven't cleaned the block since then, which keeps, when you clean it, you end up rubbing a lot of the ink into the block. So those will look different after we clean this block after today.
Okay.
Throw our paper in there. Couple clamps. Nice. Beautiful. Yeah. Nice and clean. Pretty consistent.
Ah, looks good.
Papillon number 9. So all of our historical sheets have a number, and then they all have a name as well. So this one's number 9. It's the 9th one that we've completed, and then we also call it Japanese Camellia because that's what we think the flower is that's in here. Now, looks like we got a little bit of ink on this vinyl here, so Vernon's gonna clean that up with some of our mineral spirits, just so that it doesn't get on the back of the next sheet that we print.
Because the block is a little bit wonky, it's
Oh yeah, even with the foot pedal.
It doesn't lift it quite high enough. So Alright, stick that in there.
Nice.
Ink it up.
Ink it up. We also have a fairly lengthy blog post about this design, where it came from, how we carved it.
Why is there a dent there?
I don't know.
That's weird.
That is weird. Maybe it was from last time?
It's printing though, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, we've got a blog post that I wrote about this design, where it comes from, the history behind it, who the artist may have been. We don't exactly know, but we know other artists that were involved in the making of the book it was found on. But that's all on our website at papillon-press.com. Under the blogs tab. It's right at the top.
I think that should do it.
Yep. Getting it all lined up and go. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a little more pressure on a couple spots, but it's all printing pretty well, so.
Yeah.
Guess I didn't clean that flower out, huh?
Yeah.
Should we do that a minute?
I think probably, yeah. It's this one right here. So as you can see, there's a little bit of ink right in that flower, and we don't necessarily want that showing up on the print. So since this is a fairly new block, we haven't done a ton of printing on it yet. That sometimes, often wood blocks involve a little bit of cleaning up, just so that it looks nice. So the other ones, all those other prints are pretty, still very attractive and fairly clean, but now they'll be a little bit cleaner.
I'm gonna bring this back a minute.
Okay, yeah. Get a little more, better angle for
Light.
cutting on.
We don't want these little shavings on the press block either. So this is then technically a second edition.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, third.
or third, right? The proof edition.
Nice.
And this one too.
Yeah.
Zip right around here. Now this way you get to see a little bit
Yeah.
carving.
And this wood is really hard, so it is hard to carve in terms of it takes a little bit of extra elbow grease, but it cuts pretty cleanly and is less likely to chip out than some softer woods.
Okay.
And it can also withstand a lot more prints, so the block doesn't deteriorate as quickly with hundreds and hundreds of prints, which is what we like to do. So sometimes if we have a design that we think we may use a lot more than a block can withstand, we will make a magnesium die, so a metal die, and those can last a lot longer.
So
Here,
for our
he's got-
notebook covers,
So, right, for the notebooks, because we sell a lot more than notebooks, we ended up doing a magnesium die so that we could print a lot more of them without the without hurting the block.
Yeah. Any other ones?
I think that was it when I was looking at the sheet at least.
Getting a little bit of activity.
Yeah. Got the chisel now.
Oops. Took off a little of the flour.
I was gonna say you're braver than me. You're using a bigger chisel than I would have.
Yeah, this one gets a little...
Whole insides.
I would use a smaller one, but I don't... Well, it wasn't sharp.
Oh, fair enough.
So... Oops. Okay. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead here.
Yeah.
Now let's ink this up and try it again here. First I'm just going to get the ink on the plate here, or the block, and then go through and make sure it's all spread out evenly.
Perfect. It's not under that first one. I don't know if it needs to be.
We're okay.
All right.
Here we go.
And print. Alright. Looks like the ink was a little bit
A little lighter there.
light on.
But it's working.
Still pretty good.
So these sheets are a lot of these what were called they were called domino papers. They were used as wallpapers. Is this a repeating pattern?
Yes.
Yes. So if you want to come over here, we'll show that.
Oh, yeah.
So if you would trim these sheets, you can see they repeat at these points.
So hypothetically, if you wanted a full wall of this pattern, you could do so.
Do so.
Yeah, well, that's fun.
That's how it was done in the 18th century, before rolled paper manufacturing was a thing.
Same spot. And thanks again to Maid Market for hosting this whole virtual pop-up shop. I believe we'll be participating in one of their in-person markets in December, hopefully, if that ends up happening. But since the summer markets were all canceled, they decided to put on an online one. And if you missed the first part of this video, it will also be posted on their site at mademarket, that's mademkt.com/virtual. And you'll be able to watch the whole video. And if you wanted a chance to see all the other creators who were making stuff today, it's a good way to be able to watch all the cool things that they were doing too.
Okay. Let's go.
Nice.
Okay.
Got another good print there. So yeah, when we do these when we're not doing a live stream, we usually go very much quicker because we're trying to get a lot of things done. But yeah, he was just showing, we thought if we were running out of things to do, potentially doing some of these little lino cuts that I made. So eventually, these are kind of prototypes for mini notebooks that we're going to do, hopefully. So they'll be spiral bound here, and then, you know, a bunch of pages and a back cover kind of situation. But for now, we've just got some limited editions of this, the set of 3. That's also on our shop website. I think we've got 5 or so left, 4 or 5-ish. But I've got this whole stack of paper, so I'll probably be experimenting with doing a little different format or different paper, that kind of thing. But we've got a bunch of stacks more paper of this, so I think we're gonna keep rolling, so to speak.
Yeah, we're gonna keep rolling.
We've only got 10-15 minutes or so, I believe, until...
Yes. 15 minutes. Alright.
Nice. Ink it up. Yeah. If I was printing, there would be ink everywhere. It's one thing I'm really good at. It's getting ink all over my hands.
It's true.
All over the bench.
Can't do that anymore. I cleaned the bench up.
I know. Got all those prints on there. Can't ruin them. And that's the nice thing about this press is it's got its own little plate. So especially if you have just a very small amount to mix, or like today we mixed all this ink a couple weeks ago and then put it in one of our ink things here, so we just get to take it out, put it on the inking plate, and use it again.
So this block takes a little longer to ink up just because of the inconsistencies of the wood. A magnesium plate would go a lot quicker, but
yeah, and because it's such a high surface area block.
Why does that feel so
It felt very easy.
easy? That's strange.
Yeah, you're just getting stronger.
Yeah, but it's a lighter print too.
Yeah.
Huh? I don't know. Maybe not. It'll work. What's that? Oh yeah, you could move a couple of them back there. So I don't know.
Maybe you just had different momentum on that one. But
Yeah, maybe the oil is finally getting into the gears.
yeah, these presses have lots of little oil spots. Tons and tons of them. Our letterpress has a lot more than this one does because it's a much bigger machine. I'll go over and give you guys a look at that since you've seen this a couple
Yeah, that one
times.
has, I think, about 37 oiling locations.
So that's, you know, you've got these little caps and you pour oil in there. In all these, basically anywhere there's a moving part. You know, another little cap down here. But it's a much bigger machine. It's got a motor, so we can print a lot more things a lot more quickly. However, the size of things that we can actually print on this letterpress is a lot smaller. So it's really great for things like notebooks or cards, things we make a high volume of, but it won't fit the sheets that we want to do. So this has got a bigger bed on it, so we could do prints basically up to this size, maybe a little bit bigger, a little wider. We could do a little bit longer too, potentially as well, but this is about the size limit of things that we can do in the shop. And then for little one-off things, we've got a couple of these nice little presses. So these are used in Vernon's bookbinding business. So he uses those as book presses a lot, and these are specifically for printing presses. We used to do all of our larger things on this book press, which is a cast iron, very heavy. It took 2 of us to turn it, so that was a lot of work to get enough pressure to make a good impression. But this one is nice because you can just have one person. So since I moved out, we're a father-daughter team. I don't know if we mentioned that at the beginning, but I used to live here and that was very convenient for the whole Papillon press thing. Then I moved out, and so we're trying to figure out how best to do things from multiple locations. And I'll stand over here. You can see the print come out.
This one's definitely
Really nice.
maybe the foot pedal hadn't quite disengaged.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, good. That's a good one.
Good prints.
Whoops. Oh. Oh.
Lots of people, small space. We've got my brother Basil taking some photos for us out here. It's not often that we look nice and print at the same time, so.
It's too close. I showed my 30.
Oh. So yeah, the block is a little wonky, so pretty much every time we take it back, even with the foot pedal that raises this up a little bit to keep it from touching the block when it comes through, it still hits this kind of corner every time.
So that's a little too much ink, but
Need a lot on this block anyway. Oh.
we'll spread it around once it gets on the block. Alright. Let's go for it.
Nice. Stick a piece of paper on there. Yeah. Come around this side and let you
Yeah, okay.
watch this come through.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll go slow so you can get some pictures there.
There she goes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, we're done. Sometimes going slower allows the ink to really get in a little deeper too.
Yeah. It definitely does.
Definitely does. Looks like we got a little cleanup to do.
Yeah, I should be using my different ones, but got a couple.
Cool. It's hard to do with one hand,
Yeah, but you did.
but I did it.
So
Here,
there's
your
a
turn. I want a couple pictures.
No, okay.
We're
Alright.
running switch lenses.
And there's Maddie again. Madeline. And do a little inking.
We did a couple of these live streams over more strict quarantine, and when we did those, Vernon / my dad had to do most of these just all by himself, and I just watched from my couch and made sure everything was running smoothly. So it's really nice to be able to do these together because we can both talk, both share. 2 sets of eyes is always helpful. Alright.
And it keeps the madness at bay. Working alone is,
You're coming on this way, right?
yep, like that. And you reach with one hand and pull this lever back. Here, and then
Let's see.
Here, I can hold this back if you want.
Oh, okay.
It's actually easier.
Yeah.
4 hands.
And about right here.
Ready?
Yep. All right. So
Okay.
Centered.
Yeah, it's good enough, I think. I'm gonna come over here.
Over here. See the print come through.
Okay, here we go.
Oh.
That one didn't seem.
That one didn't.
So I don't think that foot pedal was all the way
No.
back.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
well.
seems to be the issue, though.
Yeah. I'll show you this here. There it is, the Potter Proof Press, 1910. Okay, so foot pedal is down.
Alright.
So yeah, that seems to be the spring may not be doing its work. Oh. Okay.
And you don't want this to be wet because you gotta put paper right on it. So as soon as you get the mineral spirits on there, you wanna wipe them off. Make sure it's all nice and dry. And then grab my ruler. Yeah, again, we're using a kind of softer rubber ruler on this one, just because make sure that we get all the,
Just hold on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, we were breaking up there a minute.
but yeah, we use a softer roller on this one, just so that we can get a little bit more, it's a little more flexible in terms of working with a surface that's not as consistent. So the wood on here isn't as consistent as like our magnesium dyes. And so this, make sure we get all the little spots a little bit more easily. Okay.
All right.
That should be good.
Who's this on the radio?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Sounds like Bob don't.
Yeah.
It does. Sorry, I gotta go check.
Yeah, check.
Kevin Morby. Oh,
You were nice.
was
and
I in the
loud, okay?
picture?
Yeah, I just wanted
Oh.
it to look good, but
Okay, here we go.
Alright.
And I'll just back up here and give you the.
On this one in case that had anything to do with why the last one was so light. Oh, and then I don't get momentum.
Yeah.
My shoes are just sliding. Alright.
Yeah, nice pressure on that
Yeah.
press.
Well,
got a lot of that.
Nice.
this one's a little
Oh,
close
was it?
to the edge.
Oh, well, come
but
to our shows and you can buy
you can
seconds
buy
for
this
half
for
off.
$5.
Half off.
Okay, half off.
And then, or
All the shots of that.
that's funny. Okay, bringing it back here. I'm gonna double check that. Okay, that looks like it's working.
James, if you could stand mostly. No, it's all good.
Okay. The big picture. It's 2 o'clock. Let's finish this print
Do
here.
this one, and then the official main market pop-up time is until 2 o'clock. Let's see, those ones were small on this side, yeah.
Oh yeah,
So we'll just
yeah. It
finish
has to.
this one up
Yeah, that should be fine.
and then call it a day. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions or anything, feel free to message us. You can potentially leave a comment in there. We'll look at those a little bit later. But yeah, you can message us. You can go to our website, use our contact form. This is our website there again for you. And then to check out all of the other artists who participated in this virtual pop-up go to mademktformarket.com/virtual, and they've got all the other artists who are working on stuff today, just like we were. So lots of varieties, potentially some ceramics, some fabric. They may have had someone doing jewelry or metalwork kind of stuff too. So be sure to check that out.
Did you intend to match your shoe to the...
No.
Okay, because it looks great in
I
the
didn't
photos.
know we were. Did not know we were printing green today.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
And all right, last print. I'll go a little faster on this one. Try not to get as stuck. Oh my goodness.
You can do it.
I think you messed up the foot pedal in the opposite way.
Yes.
Yes, you did it.
All right.
Awesome.
There it is.
All right.
So yeah, here's our last print for you guys today. The Japanese Camellia, number 9. All right.
Here, why don't you guys hold that up together and I'll grab
yeah.
a photo.
All right.
So here's us. Papillon Press.
Awesome. Wait, I'm not quite in focus. There we go.
Yeah.
Great.
So there we go. Thanks for watching if you watched. And till next time.
Till next time.